Hi all, welcome to the A-Level Law Essay channel. In today's episode, the essay is going to be covering the chapter Legislation and how it relates to Parliament sovereignty. Before we begin, please subscribe to my channel for more video guides on essay writing and many other interesting topics. With that said, let's get started with part 2 of video guide number 7. Question. Today's question reads, Parliament is sovereign over all under its power. In light of the statement, discuss the nature and characteristics of the British Parliament's sovereignty. From the question, we can infer that it covers the chapter Legislation. And the focus of the question asks us to discuss the nature and characteristics of Parliament's sovereignty whilst considering the statement. Before I begin going through the essay, I would like you to note that my answer is not the perfect essay answer, but it only serves as a guide for you so that you get an idea on how to write your essay and score the highest mark possible for your effort. Incidentally, I may have also left out certain minor details from my content video, as whatever points that have been discussed earlier only serves as a guide for us to reach our end product, which is the essay. One more important thing to note is that since, for examination purposes, the time limit for one essay answer is exactly 30 minutes, I will not have a lot of time to cover every single relevant detail, and the ideal word count for an excellent essay answer is between 700 to 900 words per essay. Introduction. Parliament, as one of the 3 governing bodies in England, is the highest law-making body in the land. Its sovereignty is one of the most important features in its characteristics, as it allows for total control over all that is under its power. To understand parliamentary sovereignty and its application, we should first consider the nature and characteristics of Parliament for which sovereignty is derived from. Point 1. Body Paragraph 1. As a product of modern democracy, the very nature of Parliament derives from the concept of social self-governance. This promotes the idea that governance is by the will of the masses, and this is of paramount importance so as to hold the abeyance of tyranny and chaos. As the highest lawmaking body of the land, it consists of publicly elected representatives who sit in the House of Commons and the law lords who sit in the House of Lords. It should be noted that the Parliament Act 1911 and 1949 made it so that the House of Commons has more power compared to the House of Lords. This idea of representative democracy through the use of Parliament allows for laws to be made in the form of Acts of Parliament so that society can be legally regulated according to the wishes of the collective. Point 2. Body Paragraph 2. Sovereignty simply means that one is free and independent from any controlling factor. Applying that understanding into British Parliament sovereignty, it would simply mean that Parliament is free to make whatever laws it so collectively wishes. Before we move on to discuss the application of sovereignty, it would be good to note that the United Kingdom is a nation which is not governed by a written constitution like in most countries of the world. This is the main reason for which Parliament is the highest lawmaking body in the land, since there is nothing as official as a written constitution to regulate what kind of laws it can or cannot make. Unlike other countries which has a written constitution, the British Parliament isn't answerable to anyone or anything other than itself, since it is a collective self-determining entity. Point 2. Body Paragraph 3. The academician A.V. Dicey describes the nature of Parliament sovereignty as one which is free from limitation. Theoretically, there is no limit to what Parliament can make as laws, as parliamentary laws are sovereign over other forms of law in England. It can completely overrule any customs, judicial precedent, delegated legislation, or even any previous acts of Parliament. Parliament cannot bind future parliaments with whatever means, and it cannot be bound by previous parliaments for whatever reason. Apart from that, no one can challenge Parliament's will even though there might be something wrong with a particular statute for whatever reason. So long as the lawmaking process was followed, every act of Parliament is an enforceable law. This is even when there appears to be an element of fraud, as can be seen in cases like British Railways Board versus Pekin 1974. Despite these issues, it will still be considered law and will remain legally binding unless Parliament actually repeals or amends the Act at a later time. Point 3. Body Paragraph 4. As much as Parliament would like to be all-powerful for good reason, its sovereignty has practical limitations to it. The British Parliament's theoretical sovereignty is dampened only by the theoretical limitations that we might say is self-imposed by Parliament itself. Since Parliament's will is the extension of the will of the people, it can theoretically do anything so long as the masses approve of it. However, democracy is a very problematic notion which can play against the people who voted for a parliament. Unpopular, draconian, and oppressive laws are not absent even in today's modern democratic society. However, it is rare to see Parliament going against the will of the people, and so this is the primary self-imposed limitation for which Parliament can place on its own sovereignty. Point 3. Body Paragraph 5. Another limitation is in relation to the European Communities Act 1972 and the United Kingdom's position in the European Union, where many laws which are passed by the British Parliament will have to be in line with European laws, regulations, or directives. The most significant is the Human Rights Act 1998, which states that all acts of Parliament must be compatible with the European Convention on Human Rights. However, some may say that this is less of an issue compared to making oppressive laws, as the European Union is but an external regulator of British sovereign position. Seeing how the United Kingdom may be on the verge of actually separating itself from the EU, Parliament's sovereignty may, in this sense, not be theoretical, but practical, since it can determine its own existence, which is independent of external force. Conclusion. Parliamentary sovereignty is a very important concept when it comes to the independence and self-determination of a nation. This is so that a nation can decide what should and shouldn't be made laws which are enforceable on its citizens, so long as it is done in Parliament through democratic means. That is the end of the essay sample for this video tutorial. If you have any questions or opinions on my approach to answering the question, please do comment below. Do check out part 1 of this video tutorial for a proper content guide on how to answer this question. I will put a link to it in the description below. If you find this video tutorial useful, please like, share and subscribe to my channel for more.